Hello viewers, thank you very much for watching Gibbs TV. Today's video, we'll be looking at how to write a very good genesis of the problem, or some other institutions title it as background of the study area. We'll be looking at this particular session of your thesis or dissertation. Let's get into it. Before we embark on a detailed discussion on how to write the genesis of the problem or the background of the study area section of your thesis or research paper or your dissertation, it is important to first discuss its meaning and the core element that it should contain. This is crucial because understanding the nature of the genesis of the problem or the background of the study in every research and also knowing exactly what to include in it allows us to both have a greater control and a clear direction of the writing process. It's very, very important to know that. Let's look at tips to consider when developing the genesis of the problem or the background of the study area. This session is part of the introduction session of the chapter 1. So first, you must create a session for the genesis of the problem or the background of the study. Some institutions even describe it as the overview, all right? And this is also part of the introduction chapter. It is the first session that readers read in the introduction chapter, all right? So take note of that. Here to develop this session, you must try to use themes, okay? Use appropriate themes to develop the background of the study or the genesis of the problem or the overview. Use themes because they sometimes fall between 6 to 12 pages. So if you want to develop a good background of the study or the genesis of the problem, it's a good idea to develop it or create it by using appropriate themes, okay? That is very, very important. What is the genesis of the problem or the background of the study? The genesis of the problem or the background of the study refers to the context, circumstances, and history that led to the research problem. Underline it, history that led to the research problem or topic being studied, okay? It refers to the context, circumstances, history that led to the research problem and topic being studied. It provides the reader with a comprehensive understanding of the subject matter and the significance of the study. This section of the introduction chapter usually includes a discussion of the relevant literature, the gap in knowledge or understanding that needs to be addressed. It also highlights the importance of the research topic and its potential contribution to the field, okay? So a well-written background of the study or the genesis of the problem sets the stage for the research and help the reader to appreciate the need for the study and its potential significance. This is very important session of your dissertation or thesis. It's the first session that readers will read in the introduction session. So you need to get it straight, okay? Yes, it must read good as well. Let's look at some core elements or components of the genesis of the problem or the background of the study. After you have conducted a preliminary research on your chosen topic and also read a lot of literature and gathered relevant information, and also that has helped you to identify the gap of your proposed research and have already developed the research question and the thesis statement that you want to utilize, then the following are what readers anticipate to see in the discussion of the genesis of the problem. 1, a brief discussion on what is known about the topic and the investigation. What is the stable context? What is true that whenever you say about the concept of the situation, readers will be able to follow the discussion. Next is an articulation of the research gap or problem that needs to be addressed, okay? That is the status quo, the claim that needs to help the stable context to settle. Very, very important. So what the researcher would like to do or aim to achieve in the study or the research goal or the resolution statement. Next is the thesis statement, that is the main argument or the contention of the paper or the study. This also serves as the reason why the researcher will want to pursue this study and the major contribution or significance of the research to a particular discipline. This is very, very important to take note. These are some of the things readers would like to see in the discussion of the genesis of the problem or the background of the study. How to write a genesis of the problem? Here are some steps to help you write a background of the study or the genesis of the problem. First, you need to identify the research problem, that is the stable context, okay? What is so obvious and true about the situation? Then you provide a context. The context could be a historical context, could be a social or political, all right? Then next is you review literature in a theoretical perspective. This is not an empirical literature review, but you need to give some background to the situation by trying to situate it in the body of knowledge. Then you discuss the significance, then you identify the gap. Once you identify the gap, you need to provide a research goal or the resolution statement to replace the gap. You call the solution statement or the resolution statement. Okay, that's a statement that is coming in or filling in the gap. All right, very, very important. It's aligned with the research goal. Let's look at you identifying the research problem. Start by identifying the research problem you are trying to address, okay? That is anytime you are trying to develop your background of the study or the genesis of the problem, you know, as part of the first paragraph, okay? Try as much as possible to start by identifying the research problem that you are trying to address. This problem should be significant and relevant to your field of study, or the concept that you are addressing must be aligned with your field of study, very important. For example, let's say we are looking at obesity, okay? So the problem that is obvious and is also startling, okay, that is calling for a salvage in terms of the solution could be or could take this form. For instance, the prevalence of obesity among children in the United States has reached alarming levels, with nearly 1 in 5 children classified as obese. You see that it's very alarming. All right. Next is you provide a context to the stable context. That is the first element in terms of the problem that you identified. So once you have identified the research problem, provide some context. This includes the historical context or social or political context of the problem. So you can choose any of these dimensions to discuss the situation. So let's say that we are assuming we want to approach the entire discussion by following the historical context or the approach. Then if you try to follow that trend, the readers would like to see the following: the history of the problem. If you are going by the historical context to discuss the genesis of the problem, then you will be looking at the history of the problem, the origin of the problem, the past and the present standing of the condition or the situation. It's very important to make sure you discuss all these dimensions. And you can discuss by using themes, subheadings, okay, so that readers can follow the discussion. Next is you look at the review, a brief review, not empirical, you know, but what scholars have said about the situation, okay, from a theoretical perspective. So here you conduct a thorough review of the existing literature on the topic. This will help you understand what has been studied and what gaps exist in the current research, all right? Next, you identify the gap. Based on your review, you identify the gap in the knowledge, okay? Understanding that your research aims to address or achieve, okay? So this gap will be focused on your research question or hypothesis. You can read more about how to identify a research gap from the previous videos. Also, after reviewing the literature, you will be able to identify any gaps in the existing research. What questions remain unanswered? What areas have not been explored? This will help you to establish the need for your research. Very, very important. An example of a gap in knowledge, cool, let's still stick to the obese situation. You know, maybe looking at what has been done by other professors, other scholars. Okay, no study have looked into some of the predictors or the causes of obesity among these young adults, okay? So you can start by writing that despite the effort to address the obesity epidemic, okay, rates continue to rise. So it's a big issue. So there is a need for effective interventions that target the unique needs of children and their families, okay? So this is a gap in knowledge that is calling for support, help, okay? It's very, very important to align yourself and also trying to understand how to identify a research gap. Very, very important. Because without a research gap, there is no study. But a research gap is also known as the literature gap, and it's also known as the research problem. Okay? This is the reason why your research is coming into being. Is the need for that study. So if you're not able to identify your gap with clarity, definitely you cannot come out with a very good research question and hypothesis to be tested. So you need to make sure that your gap is clear, period. Discuss significance, okay? You explain the significance of your research. This could include its potential impact on theory, field, practice, policy, and society, or the need to address a particular issue, all right? So it's very important to do that. So if you still stick to the example about the obese, okay, an example of a significant statement could be like this. Obesity in childhood is associated with numerous negative health outcomes, including increased risks of type 2 diabetes, okay, cardiovascular disease, and certain cancers. So if you look at the significant, it is highlighting, okay, on the numerous negative health outcomes that include the increased risk of type 2 diabetes, okay, and cardiovascular disease, and some other related disease like cancer. Very important. The last element that you need to talk about is the resolution statement. And this particular statement follows right after the gap, because it is the statement that is going to replace the claim, okay? And also like the research goal statement. Very important to know this. A solution statement is a detailed blueprint of the design of each solution you have prioritized. It explains what opportunities there are to solve the problem that you stated in your problem statement, okay? It tells the why and how it will solve the problem and provides a clear direction or vision in terms of direction, the goal or focus on how your solution will move the project forward. Okay, so you see that the resolution statement always be written as what? A claim, okay, that is coming to solve the situation. So for instance, you can say, therefore, the study will be looking at this, that, all right? So in terms of what you want to align, maybe we'll be looking at the predictors of obesity among young adults or among children and their family members, okay? Yeah, so you can be looking at that too. So here it tells the why and how it will solve the problem and provides a clear direction or vision on how your solution will move the project forward. So key components of a good solution is that it solves a real problem and ultimately provides value to the audience who uses the solution. In conclusion, it is important to know that the genesis of the problem might discuss all the dimensions of the problem, and toward the end of the page, it must settle on one dimension of the problem to be investigated, all right? So when you are discussing all the different dimensions, you started the argument of the genesis by looking at the stable situation, all right? That is you trying to state a problem. In the first paragraph, that is a stable context, okay? That's what is so obvious. When you do that, then you have to also look at the dimension you are taking to establish the context. If it is historical, then you need to make sure that you discuss the various dimension of the problem, all right? By looking at the history, by looking at the origin, then the past and the current condition or situation of the problem. Once you do that too, remember that the genesis reveals to readers the research gap. So once you finish all the various dimensions, then you have to present an argument about what scholars have said about the situation. That's the literature. Then after that, you need to what? Establish a research gap. So when you establish the research gap, that is where readers will like to see the research gap or the literature gap there. Then after that, it follows with the resolution statement or the research goal. All right, it's very, very important. So in the genesis of the problem, it reveals to readers the research gap or the literature gap or the identification of the aspect of the problem that has not been addressed and needs to be addressed. Above all, the context of the genesis of the problem could be approached by either historical, social, or political context of the problem. Thank you very much for subscribing to GIFT TV. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you.